Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the esteemed FaceTime Leaders and Initiative by World Development Corporation. My name is Tanayol, and I'm an anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry veterans to come together to share their knowledge, ideas, thoughts, and best practices with one another, as well as with upcoming industry leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings of all our industry stalwarts. We hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leader interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we truly hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders, as great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone, right? They help us to identify, nurture, and work on trade secrets that have already proven a success formula for so many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge sharing community. We have one such industry giant on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Mr. Shiju Verghese. We welcome you on the show, sir.
Thank you, Tanay, and thanks for that lovely brief. Yeah, good to be here.
Pleasure's all ours, sir. He is an accomplished professional with more than 2 decades of experience in the fashion industry and last served as the country lead for VF India sourcing. His extensive career showcases a versatile skill set encompassing manufacturing, quality, operations, and retail. He has demonstrated a keen ability to identify and focus on key performance indicators, consistently meeting deliverables and driving brand success. In his most recent role as country lead for VF India, he managed a 100 million sourcing portfolio, supporting regional strategy execution, fostering a one VF culture, and ensuring corporate citizenship. He has played a pivotal role in driving strategic partnerships with key vendors, consolidating offices, and optimizing costs for effective value-driven sourcing. His journey within VF included significant contributions as a senior manager in sourcing, facilitating restructuring, integration, and growth. So, sir, to begin with, could you elaborate on your journey in the fashion and costume industry from your early roles in manufacturing to your most recent position, which was country lead at VF in sourcing?
Yeah, no, yeah. So this goes back to more than 2 decades. So the previous century itself, so as to say. So at that point in time, the industry was in a phase of transition, and unlike what you see in the world today, India was kind of at the forefront of apparel, exports as a source of having forex revenue and also providing employment. So the BPO industries and the IT industries, and the chip manufacturing and all that's happening today was not the go-to industry at that point in time. They were too nascent. Foray began because I sensed an opportunity in the industry, and fashion was something that was catching up, and I thought I could contribute while learning and being part of an industry that was taking shape and had a promising future. So I started on the manufacturing side, but I took up a course from the Ministry of Textiles, and being based out of Bangalore, NIFT was not an opportunity because NIFT didn't exist in Bangalore at that point in time, and ATDC was just bringing in some theoretical and practical knowledge to people who wanted to get into the industry, because after your graduation you're not professionally qualified to get in at a mid-management level, let us say. So some bit of theoretical knowledge, and that helped me get into a campus recruitment, and I joined one of the leading manufacturers of that time in Bangalore itself, and that's where the journey began. From there to understanding the finer aspects of the assembly line manufacturing, because transitioning into a city like Bangalore, the industry was looking at modern techniques that were available at that point in time, and as assembly line was something that was being introduced into this line of production, and so that is where I began. I began understanding product. I began understanding product manufacturing, processes involved, quality systems and controls that came into play. Understanding what customers wanted, because I was more into the the export part of the industry. And from there, I transitioned into a sourcing office. So as the industry grew, you had buyers who were establishing their sourcing offices closer to the point of manufacturing, so they could, relate that much more and respond to, any challenges that came up quickly. So unlike today, the technology did not allow you to, respond uh, yeah, as soon as you wanted, because
Yeah.
when it comes to manufacturing, every minute matters.
Yeah.
Hold up in the assembly line could mean loss of revenue. So sourcing offices started coming closer to the point of manufacturing to help facilitate, product manufacturing and establish standards and expectations. So I joined Columbia Sportswear, which was my first foray into being part of a brand. And then the manufacturing industry in India was booming. The retail industry, India started having their own brands, and that industry started catching up. And I had an opportunity with Century Textiles to set up their vertical integration into, building a brand of their own. So they were primarily into fabric manufacturing, but they wanted to, look at forward integration and get to having their own brand. So I was part of establishing, their source base. I also had an opportunity to partner with my marketing team, and I had a little bit of retail exposure, establishing their distribution network and MBO chain down south. Uh, but then, uh, this uh, passion to remain closer to product and be part of global brands was something that I was keenly looking at. And retail marketing per se was not maybe my strength. And then VF happened to come by, and that is where this decent run with VF started. So I started on the quality side, and as we established our manufacturing base, I got an opportunity to move up to managing operations, and then to sourcing, and then eventually to lead the office in the country. So that is where the journey was.
Yeah.
And I was asked to take up a larger role, relocate out of the country. But for personal reasons, I had to stay back. And I always had this entrepreneurial ambition in me. And
Yes,
I
sir.
thought, why not? And give it a try, uh, you know, before it is too late. And at this point, I'm exploring options on that front. I'm also reaching out to brands who are looking at venturing into India and providing them, consultation based on the expertise I have on the ground. And that is yet to take shape, but yeah, that's the area I'm involved at this point.
Yeah. So, with over 2 decades of experience in the industry, what do you consider to be your most significant achievements or contributions to the organizations you've been a part of?
I mean, looking back, yeah, initial phase was where I learned. So, at that point, maybe it's too early to say contribute. But as I learned, I think I brought value to the table. I was a quick learner, passionate learner. So I think, yeah, I didn't waste the time and energy or the resources they spent on me in terms of giving me that education. I gave back to what best I could possibly do. But as I evolved, and as I transitioned into bigger roles or more responsible roles, uh, my contribution was to bring together a team as I evolved into being a people leader, and get that team together and focus on objectives collectively, and make sure we enjoyed and celebrated that success. So that was something which I found personally missing, because it was all about a target given to you, and then all they cared about was target. But I think there was that much more that you could do by bringing a
Yeah.
team together, uh, giving them that scope and freedom to work being part of their growth and their journey. So I think that was one of the contributions I had with most of the organizations I worked with, and primarily, the larger part of what I've done was with VF. And if I've evolved into a role that was managing, the office, it was because of that connect I brought to the table. While I valued the business and the business growth, I also valued the relationship and the association with not just the team, but also the partners who came to, be part of your business. So in terms of contribution, yes, I was a learner, and then maybe I became a contributor and a people leader of sorts who sort of helped others also to evolve and grow. Yeah.
So you have a really vast professional purview, namely fostering relationships and strategic partnerships, along with overseeing manufacturing, quality, operations, and retail, among many other chores. Is there a common approach that you use for all these tasks?
Personally, for me, I would say, I don't jump the gun, or sometimes I'm very passionate about, or I would say curious about wanting to know more. So that curiosity and passion to understand and learn possibly was my go-to tool as I started. But one common approach from there to what I've carried forward was uh, also to make sure that you are part of a larger objective,
Mm.
and try to keep that in mind as you move forward and as you work with others. So keeping that objective in mind at any point, that understand what that larger objective is, and today you're playing a role, but that role is not insignificant. So even if you are at the bottom end where you start, or where I have started, I always try to make that connect to that larger objective, and that is something I've carried forward with my team as well, to make it a point, that what you are doing is important, and it doesn't matter it is small or big. So I think that has been my mantra as I have
Yeah.
continued. Yeah.
So how and when did you develop an interest in ESG and corporate governance?
I mean, Tanay, yeah, that is something which now is being talked about. But I think global brands, maybe when you're restricted to, a country like India, which had other challenges to face, and the entrepreneurial spirit was just beginning to happen. It was all owner driven, and the focus was more on the money you earned, on the money you
Yeah.
invested. That was the focal point, and everything else was insignificant. And we had this, and we continue to have to some extent this jugaad mentality where we try to play around systems. But as you are becoming global, and this Make in India becoming, that story that we want to tell the world, and make the world know that you are ready to be a global manufacturer, or be part of that global supply chain. ESG becomes very valuable,
Yeah.
because in today's world, you cannot afford to cut corners. Because you're being monitored, you're being watched by everyone.
Yeah.
So that's how it is. So when you look at ESG, as I said, being part of global brands, they saw it earlier because there the activism was that much more, and they were starting to be worried about the impact that some of these things can have on on them as well. And since the manufacturing was shifting into the developed countries, they needed to bring checks and balances into where they are procuring from. So one of the taglines that my former boss used to have was responsible sourcing over irresponsible profits.
Mm.
So that kind of coins ESG in a way. So you care about environment. So when you say you care about environment, it is not about, talking about it, but what can you do in the limitation of your own industry. So when I say my own industry, moving from synthetic to organic or
Yeah.
regenerative cotton, going backwards into seeing, where you can save water, where you can prevent chemicals, where you can, you know, incorporate some of those, because these are products that are of end use to everyone. These are not niche products. These are something that you need and you will need, and
Yeah.
this consumes a lot of water. It consumes a lot of dyes. It consumes a lot of chemicals. So, how you manage them, is critical. And when it comes to social governance and your activism with CSR, I think today most corporates have evolved. It is not just about saving taxes, or it is about a purpose that they have inculcated, uh, not just to the business but also to the community they are in. So they have started taking pride in the CSR initiatives and activities that they can be a part of. So VF as a company, with the kind of sourcing they do, you know, if my memory serves me right, uh, we source in excess of 600 garments per minute. And that's the kind of sourcing, which means we are connected with so much more people.
Yeah.
So our manufacturing base would be running into maybe millions. The end consumer will be millions. So if you look at the entire ecosystem, it makes an organization like VF and similar organizations so much more responsible, and gives them not just a sense of responsibility but an opportunity to impact these many people, and also to provide them education to understand, see, why you are doing what you're doing is of great value, not just for you but globally and for the world of tomorrow. Corporate governance, yeah, that's a topic separate, and maybe what you guys are doing as an organization, giving that opportunity to have independent directors who understand and who are qualified, and who have the needed knowledge and skills to help improve corporate governance, I think is a great initiative, and which is why I'm also a part of this drive.
As an ESG and corporate governance expert, what values do you bring to the table?
Now, in terms of values, I mean, one of the thing will be to believe in the whole ESG. mean, it is not for optics. It is not for you know just doing it for the sake of doing it, or because somebody is asking you to do, but do it because this is the right thing to do.
Uh,
you know so I've believed in that, and in my sourcing and in my association with vendor partners, whether it was to drive their CSR or be you know a partner to some of the CSR initiatives they have. So we have had a pool of money which companies like VF as a corporate have, and they have that money to also support our vendors, our manufacturers drive CSR initiatives. We are partnered to drive education to, because the industry that I work in have a lot of women folk. So help them understand their rights, help them develop their sense of hygiene. So some of these things was also passionate to me. So, like I said, I also started to believe these are not optics; these are things that is the right thing to do. And you have today, been blessed with an opportunity to drive that.
yeah.
So, in my position, I made sure this was taken forward in that right spirit. Uh, coming to environment, so we were very stringent with our sourcing. We made sure we were willing to pay the right price, but we wouldn't compromise on the product. And the product had to meet standards which aligned with our goals of environment protection and carbon rating and things like that. So, if in a nutshell, yes, I would say what I brought to the table was I didn't do it for the optics. I did it because I believed it was the right thing to do.
What are some of the most remarkable changes you have seen in your field with respect to changes in technology? And what changes do you expect to see in the future with the advent of all these new technologies like IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, big data, Web 3.0, digital twin, etc.?
No, so there are two aspects to this, Tanay. One is, see, when it comes to retail, this is another part of the industry I belong to. So retail manufacturing might use a lot of data analytics and what is coming to the table today in terms of understanding your consumer better, servicing that consumer better, making sure your throughput is so much more better in terms of what you are providing to the consumer. So per se, you today with technology have more knowledge about what color and what styles would sell more up north than down south. Instead of trying and experimenting and going through that uh, tough path, today technology supports you in giving you that information and to make your play accordingly. So that's an advantage. But again, like I said, that's maybe more on the retail front. If you look at technology that is coming into the manufacturing side, I think you have avatars and modeling, that is now being done by designers on virtual 3D images. So this allows you to kill the sampling time, where you have to create it, in a manufacturing setup, a small sampling setup, and that's time consuming. That's also
Yeah.
too cost. So today you can minimize it. I mean, we still are in that industry, where touch and feel is important. Where a color you see online might not be the color you get when you procure something online and he delivers it to you and then you don't. And when you see it drape on a virtual avatar and when you see it draped on a model, you might see it drapes differently. I mean, the technology is trying to uh, minimize these gaps, but that is there. So these are things that are enabling you to be faster, enabling you to be better at your decision making, enabling you to cut costs. But the other side of, I mean, when I look at manufacturing, in this industry, which is apparel, labor is available. So if you look at Bangladesh, if you look at India, you have labor. So the cost of having technology versus cost of having labor might sometimes uh, make it a decision that you need to be mindful of. When you look at ROI, you need to see, okay, can I do this with 5 labor instead of having a huge investment on technology? And sometimes that investment needs to be backed up because something happens, there is a breakdown, you come to standstill. So as much as you see technology taking shape in new age industries like chip manufacturing and this and that, maybe the apparel industry, which has been there and will be there, might not embrace it as much as the new age industry, because you need to look at your ROI as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Today, the industry per se is moving into rural areas where labor is available in plenty, labor is available cheap, and they are bringing in technology and new age, drive to make the factories more green, not to pollute your rural environment like you did in the cities earlier. So technology is helping you, bring in some of those aspects into the new age facilities that are coming up. The facilities will be more modern. We'll have, of course, the latest machines which are energy efficient, not necessarily, robots sitting and manufacturing for you. Maybe that will also come in the future, where you have a robotic factory which can work 24/7. But that's future. But you again need to see the economies of scale.
Yeah.
Is it really worth that money? And
True.
when they see that value, maybe things will change and there will be more technology moving into this sort of manufacturing as well. But until then, I think the embrace of technology will be need based,
Yeah.
and where it will facilitate, speed.
So we're building a community here of industry magnates. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. What are your thoughts about this initiative taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the whole World Development Corporation team?
I think it's a fantastic initiative, and I have seen this happening, across industries, including the one I am in. We have experts and people coming from different industries and taking positions here. So, in fact, the current CEO of VF Corp comes from Logitech. He has got no foray into apparel, but when it comes to technical aspects, you need an individual contributor with that kind of technical expert. But when it expertise, but when it comes to strategic drive, and when it comes to understanding consumer through the use of technology and all that, you are end of the day selling a product, and your product happens to be apparel. So, like the assembly line manufacturing moved from the car manufacturing industry into the apparel. The concept is the same, the processes are the same, your quality systems are the same, but you will come with a different, perspective, because you're moving from one industry to the other.
Yeah.
I think that will give your own brain, a stimulation to start becoming more curious and if I were to move into another industry, I'll be that much more curious to understand the product, because the industry will be the same. I will also be servicing a consumer, but through a different product.
True.
So I think this is a great initiative, and I see more and more corporates wanting to do more and more of this.
Great, sir. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will truly inspire future leaders. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir, and wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute unquestionably has expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Tanay. It was wonderful talking with you, and thank you for the questions as well.
Same, you have a great day ahead.